how important do you think a degree is in whether it's journalism or media or communications, or do we, I don't want to say still because, but do you still think that we are that sort of more meritocratic place to work where you don't necessarily need to have that sort of backing of some big institution, but you can sort of proof of work your way into it?
I think both paths are viable. I do. So I did go to Columbia's, they call it like their MA, which is the mid-career journalism program. Like the MS is more just like, here's how to become a print journalist, here's how to become broadcast. Whereas in the MA, they do subject-based. So I did science journalism, but there's like politics, business, and culture, I think is the other one. And I personally learned a lot in that. But what I recognize is that I also got very lucky because it was the third year of the program. So they were giving like massive discounts on the tuition because since it was a very new program, it wasn't like, the MS one, which has been around for decades. I did not pay a lot for that education. And I know like typically J school can cost quite a lot of money. So, I managed to learn all those things without incurring a ton of debt. I mean, it was still significant, but like not crazy. So what I don't like is when I hear sometimes people say like, oh, journalism school is stupid or whatever. Yeah, okay, you can learn all the things in journalism school on a job, but then you have to like find the right mentors because you're not going to learn all the things from, just any person. Like I said, I had worked in a number of different publications, and it really wasn't until I got to Force where I really felt like, oh, wow, I have these amazing editors who like really pushed me and like who I've really been learning things from. And, I didn't work there until, I don't even know how old I was, I'm like late 30s or I don't even know when. So, if you're going to not go to journalism school, then it's a little bit like luck of the draw in terms of like who you're going to be working from, On the flip side, I like sometimes I meet young people today and I'm like, oh my God, you were so smart. And I know that I was not anywhere near as smart as you when I was that young. But what I would advise younger people today is that if you have like a journalist that you admire, you could either hit them up or before you hit them up, actually, what's even smarter is you study their work and you just like learn from their work. Like, here's something that I did. This is somebody that I admire who I've never met. And it's Laura Hillenbrand, who wrote Seabiscuit and Unbroken. And I just think she is the number one best, narrative nonfiction writer on the planet. And so I studied Seabiscuit. Like, I literally marked it up. And I read parts of it over and over again. Like, how did she do this? How did she get that effect? How did, just absorbing the structure of what she wrote. And and I use that for my book. So, I know it obviously race horses in the 1940s or 1930s or whatever it was, and crypto are two totally different subjects. But yeah, the techniques that I use, I try to use similar techniques. And you can do that for any type of writing. Frequently you'll see oh, everybody's talking about this article in the New Yorker right now, or everybody's talking about this article in the Atlantic right now. If you find yourself captivated by that, take another couple hours to analyze it. Take a pen and paper and mark it up and be like, how did they do that? I can remember this article by David Grann about, it was this arson case, and I don't want to give away what it was, but the structure of that thing, I still remember. I'm like, wow, I'm just even talking about it now. I feel like I'm going to go back and read that later today and see what else I can pick up, So, Elizabeth Gilbert is another hero of mine, and she talks about this, and obviously she's talking more about creative writing or whatever, but she says, you can have teachers in this world, and you don't ever have to meet them. You just have to study what they do. And if you're a cryptojournalist or whatever, like, yeah, you can do that, or you can, people are friendly. Like, you can also reach out to them. I would say, you have to be aware of people's time. So, you don't want to like not do research and just ask them basic questions. But people will, like, right now, like I'm giving you this time because I am interested in talking about these things. So yeah, those are my 2 pieces of advice.
Brilliant. And I do the same. I discovered this like a couple of years ago when I was studying like Gary Halbert and a few other like great copywriters, where they do, I don't remember the technique itself, but it's like sit down and actually write out how the person wrote. So you sort of, I think it was Gary Halbert who would write out sales letters that he found impressive, and he would actually sit down, hand and paper, and just learn the structure by actually writing it out himself and study connectors and how one line fed into the other and uses of adjectives and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it definitely resonates.